I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty bummed that these are not brush markers, but here we are, I'm still gonna review them. These are the Arrtx acrylic markers with the 3mm bullet tip. These are the first Arrtx markers that I've tried. They have a lot of different sets. Arrtx did send these to me. It's not sponsored. It says strong coverage and waterproof, water-based and bright, paint on anything, and I have 36 colors here. So let's open them up and test them out. On the tops, they have these numbers for the colors, and I think the pen body is really cool. And you have to shake it a lot first, and then you pump it to get the ink out. So this is the type of marker that this is. So getting the ink out, you can see it's flowing really nicely. Here's the black and white together, and it shows on the pen exactly how to shake them and pump them. The bullet tip is hard. This is not going to be soft and flexible. And you can see in the box, there's a little checkerboard thing at the bottom to hold the pens straight up. So that's really nice that they can be stored in the box really easily. Each pen has a spot. To start out, I'm just going to use them in my Archer and Olive journal, and I'm doing faux calligraphy. You can see where I am thickening the downstrokes on my own because this is not a brush tip, so you're not going to get any flexibility in the downstrokes. And let's go ahead and swatch them. I'm going to do it in my Archer and Olive notebook. Like I said, I want to see how it's going to work in my notebook. I'm sure a lot of you too want to know, are you going to be using these in your notebook? I am also going to try them on rocks in a little bit, and you'll see that. But I first want to know if I can use them in my notebook. And I am noticing as they're not dry, when I do the marker next to it, some of them are bleeding into each other. So that could be good if you want to blend a little bit. So you would have to wait for them to dry though, if you want to layer them. And another thing that I'm noticing is that it is warping the paper a little bit. The Archer and Olive notebooks has 160 GSM paper. This is really thick, really good quality paper, and it is warping it a little bit. It's not bleeding through, but I like these colors. The 36 pack seems to be just right. There's also a 48 pack. And if you've seen some of my recent videos that I used some acrylic paint markers, and Arrtx has a lot of different types of pens, so they do have some brush pens, and honestly I was a little bit surprised that they sent me these ones, because if you've seen any video on my channel, you know that me and my people, we love brush pens. So yes, we're gonna try out other pens and markers, but the favorite is the brush pens. If you have tried other Arrtx markers and you like them, let me know below if I need to try them, because I might just have to get some for myself. Check it out. It didn't bleed or ghost at all, just warped a little bit. So here is where I tested all of the markers, and this one it did bleed through, or at least it ghosted through on cheap thin paper. As I covered up some of the areas, it didn't blend in. The second layer didn't blend in as perfectly. And so then I decided that I wanted to spice up the title page of this and see if I could make it more fun and more colorful. So I'm adding these blobs around the title, and I'm doing it in rainbow order, and some of the blobs are really big, some of them are little. And what I noticed is that this is 3mm, and that's pretty big compared to, you know, a fine liner. However, to fill in these blobs, it actually took a lot of time and wasn't super fun to fill in a huge space with the little 3mm tip. So that is just something that I noticed. I thought it was big, but turns out I need bigger, I guess. And then I added some little black and white details here. So they are opaque as I'm going over it, and it works out really well. Once it's all the way dry underneath, the top can be opaque, and it is great. And next I'm going to do a rainbow page, because you know I love rainbows. So I'm just doing a stripe rainbow in the middle of my page across 2 pages. And this is a super easy trick. If you need an idea today to fill a spread in your journal or notebook, try this. All it is the rainbow stripes, a thin stripe going all the way across, and then I'm going to add my lettering underneath the rainbow at the end. And as you can see, it did take me a while, even though this is a thin stripe, but because it's all the way across the entire spread, it did take me a while to fill it in. And you know, if I had a brush pen, then it would be a lot thicker. It would spread across the whole page a little bit better. The 3mm is not something that I'm used to working with, and I don't know if it is very fun for what I enjoy. So in my journal, I'm not really enjoying these. I don't think I'm going to use them very much for my journal specifically. You'll see how they go on the rocks. But if I'm going to use paint markers in my journal, I'm going to use something else. And specifically, probably something that has a brush tip or a flexible tip. The main thing that I love about these is how you can do layering on top, so how they are opaque. But the thing is, I have other pens that I like better that are opaque. So these are not going to be the ones that I will choose. This one's a little bit scratchy on the paper. So sometimes it was kind of rubbing off the paper a little bit. So I wasn't a huge fan in my journal. I mean, it's fine. And other people maybe would like it. But for me personally, I didn't love it. You see, I just did a simple script. I did not fill in the downstrokes. So I wasn't doing the calligraphy style. And then of course I've got to use the white and the gold to make some stars and sparkly dots. And I do love that it's opaque. It looks great. I like how this turned out. It's just these markers are more scratchy than other smooth markers that I have. I do like the wide variety of colors though. That is definitely a plus with these ones. And I really like the box. It's easy to place them all where they go. They all have a spot. Look at this cool rock I found. It's a heart. So fun. So to fill in the rocks, it was the same kind of thing where it just takes a long time to fill in the rock. And I used these with some kids. I had some kids over and they were painting rocks and they were used to painting with a brush. And so one of the kids said, "This is really hard to paint a rock with this." And I was like, "Oh, probably because you're used to a brush, you can get a lot more paint on the brush and spread it around, right? Whereas with a marker, you're going to want to do finer details with it, which is also great. You know, you use this not to fill in the whole rock, use it to do the details like you see me doing. But if you're going to fill in the whole rock, this is the paint that I have. These are the markers that I have for rocks now. And so it just takes a little extra time to fill in the entire rock. But I was really excited about the different designs that I came up with my rocks, and it was so fun to do it with the kids. And so I think that's what these are now. These are my rock painting markers, and all the kids can come over and paint with them. We found a little spot next to the creek to put the rocks, and what's really cool is that it's been raining back there. I went and looked and they're still there. All of the rocks are still painted even through the rain. I don't know how many rains they can go through, but they can go through a couple because they're still there. So that is definitely a must when you're painting with rocks that are going to be outside. All right, let me know what you think of these pens. And if you want to see the other paint pens that I've been using a lot, that is linked right here. I'll see you there.